We spoke about yesterday the contrast between Kelim and Oir. Not the first time, but every time they brought into a greater depth and a greater clarity. The Rebbe says, you can read on page Lamed Aleph, on the bottom of the page. Might start a little bit before, but that's where we actually are. The shoyresh of the kelim is from the reshimu. That is the shoyresh of the koyach ha-gvul. And we discussed yesterday the principle of gvul, that each entity in gvul has its own definition, its own defining borders, and it is a mitzias unto itself. Although it is clearly speaking about very significant, meaningful aspects, but it's speaking of them in a gvul and in a mitzias manner. Then, even if you go down to a much lower level, but you're talking about oil, like you say, moach stimoko de atiko, the moach stimoko, stimo, the concealed moach, we spoke about yesterday. What means a concealed moach? This is bechinas ha'oir. When it comes to oir, we refer to it as bechinas ha'oir, because it is not a tangible entity. And this bechinas ha'oir is a ha'ora of oir in soif. Let me touch upon this definition, ha'ora of oir in soif. Because as we spoke recently, that breathing, for example, is not, the effect of breathing is not the air that is taken into the nostrils and into the lungs. It is not the actual air that one experiences. The effect of the principle of breathing is that you are related to the mass of air, the infinite, relatively speaking, mass of air. And if you lack this, then you don't have the experience of breathing in the real sense of the word, of life-giving element. Because there isn't the essence of that life-giving element. So therefore, he says, moiches timod de atiko is bechinas ha'oir, shehu ha'oras, it's a ha'ora of Ayin soif. And that is l'maylo maylo mimhuz ha'kelim. It is l'maylo maylo means much, infinitely greater, above, than the mahuz ha'kelim, than the whole reality of the kelim. Asher nikru etzlon bli ma. These are the last words on the page. such that the oiros relative to the kelim are called blima, without a presence. If it's without a presence, it means that it is the reality itself. It is not something that comes into being. So we had the moshel that we used yesterday and the day before, and the more I thought about it, we have much resource in that moshel, provided that we elaborate properly and bring us into that focus. We spoke about the principle at Odom shein lebayis einay Odom. That bayis is a fundamental defining factor of a human being. He must have a bayis. And if he doesn't have a bayis, he is lacking the fundamental definition of what a human being is. That's what the Gemara says. Einay Odom. And then, when we think about a bayis, we realize that a bayis is not just an empty shell. And there are those aspects that complement, that fill the house. And the reason that the aspect that fill the house is that a house or a home is not merely a defining place protecting a person from the outside, but it is the place that provides for the person the ability to come back to himself and to be himself and to have all the comfort and all the serenity and the calm that is the human reality. The reason a human being needs calm and rest and peace is not to secure his body. Rather, it is that the central activity and experience of being human is sensing the finest elements of one's seichel, the chokhmah and the bina, and then further into the emotion. And if one isn't disturbed in an calm state, he cannot sense these. This calm stand, this comfort element, like we said many times, Halacha says, when you eat you have to sit, and you have to have a table in front of you. This is not merely for the purpose of the comfort and the convenience of accessing the food. But this is part of the manner, the human manner, the human respect for a human activity. Even the Shulchan Aruch speaks about it. The Shulchan Aruch is not just talking about trivialities, you should be comfortable and not get tired. Shulchan Aruch speaks about the principles, the human principles and the godly principles. The more we think about it, the more we realize that our exposure to the coarse world has drowned out our finest human senses. To the extent of what's going on in the world, and many of us can relate to it. Fast food, run in and grab a bite and run. It's great. I don't have to waste my time. I can go catch the bus in the meantime. This is, I've spoken many times, this is the human being eating at the very level of the son of the dog. A human being encompasses the entire creation from the bottom to the top. But the Shulchan Aruch, the Torah, that helps us and directs us and maintains watch of, is that we should be closer to the top than to the bottom, or at least not to fall down to the bottom. So therefore it says, don't eat walking around. But I don't feel don't eat walking around. Who knows, maybe something will surface as a result of this. So coming back, because we're talking about Oilis and Kelim. Oilis and Kelim are very closely related. Because Kelim, as we said, Kelim are the Kelim for the Oilis. It's a means to hold on to an oil. But the Oilis and Kelim are the Mamas Shloi B'Yerich. So that when we do have a keli, must not be blinded by it and focus in what is this keli for. So coming back to the moach of the home. Always in the Beis and Odom, this Beis provides a home for a person. A home, and we all realize, every one of us, hopefully, and realize, a home has to provide not just a shelter, but a place where one can bring out and feel himself, feel his inner qualities, the human qualities. Bring him to a state of total rest and total expression of his inner qualities. Come back to yourself, that's an expression. In order to provide for that rest state, for that calm, for that comfort, the four walls of the home are not sufficient. Therefore we know that in a home there must be other entities. But these all other entities come there as a complement, as part, and as a result of the fact that the home is that which elicits a state of calm, a state of rest. In order to facilitate, to bring that out, the kelim for that are the various quote-unquote furnishings. So that the furnishings are actually a derivative of the home element. The home element, this is what represents the human experience of coming to himself, calm, and leisure and ease. In order to facilitate, since he is in a body, he has to also give rest to the body so that everything else internal will be able to function. So he provides the furnishings that allow him to not to exert himself and holding himself up and standing up, but he can actually sit down and relax and allow the inner koiches, the oiris, to surface. So now, as we were saying the other day, these kelim they can exist on two different states, two different levels. When the kelim are part of the home, then they're totally illuminated. And they bring out exclusively this home element, this calm element, this total rest element. When these same kelim are outside of the home, they also provide a chair. You can sit in the chair in the street also. But in the street, the chair serves to give rest to your body. In the home, the chair serves to give rest to your mind. The full impact, the full meaning of a chair is not the chair outside of the home. It's the chair as part of the home. Because the home includes all the inyanim that all the kelim via which you get that calm, which is part of the definition of a home. When you lose sight of the home, then you become focused and aware of the chairs and the tables and the beds. And then you can find beds outside of the home too, and chairs outside of the home. They are not the same as those that are inside the home. Outside of the home, they are kelim, providing for the rest of for the body. And home is a completely different experience. Home is that which makes an odom into an odom. Not a human body into a body, but a human being into a being. So everything that's in the home is the result of the fact that the home gives a human being to be the ability to be a human being, not to rest his body. So we have been putting all this time into this because we have to counteract all the habits that we acquired from the outside world. And I was saying that in real essence, the rest that you provide in the home is a completely different concept of rest than outside of the home. Outside the home, the provision is for the resting of the body. The mind cannot rest any place but in the home. You're in a strange place. You're not where you belong. That's what you mean. Where you belong. I said the table. You're not where you belong. There's no reality for the human being outside of the home. When you are where you belong, that's when you have the real rest. Whether it's physically comfortable, I expressed it to someone that a cot at home gives you more rest than a cushioned mattress in a hotel. So I was met with a lot of objection to that, but I want to explain. Cushioned mattress will give you a more comfortable rest on the body level, but at home you're resting yourself as a human being. That's the real rest. That's what the home is all about. And this is what the Rebbe is saying. The oir is a ha'ara of oir in soif. In our marshal, what does it mean human being has calm? Where is he? He's connected to the neshama, to the reality of a human being. It's a ha'ara of oir in soif. You can't even define what it is. This is blima. I'm resting on a bed. It's a completely different rest. This is what we explained the other day. Kelim acquired a name for themselves. This is when the Kelim are outside of the reality. There is not the total human element in our motion.
Wait, I'm sorry. What do you mean? There's the muscle is not the total human element in the kelim?
Yeah, when the kelim are referred to by individual names, this is a bed, this is a chair, this is this. In a home, this is not a bed, this is not this is all fulfilling the complement of the home. The oiris is a ha'ara of oiris. The reason that there is this calm element when you sit down, when you lie down, is because you're in a home. The oil is safe. You cannot get it if not to connecting to that oil is safe. Even though you're talking about something much limited, much smaller than the fact I'm at a home. I have a home. But without that I have a home, the bed would not have the same function, the same significance.
The mahus hakeli is like the bed outside.
That's right. The mahus hakeli, that's his kelim, that's the bed outside. This is why they say the mahus hakelim, when the dot surface, when there is a tzimtzum, when you when there isn't the sense of the etzem. And when there is no sense of the etzem, what remains? The reshimu. Everything remains exactly the same. Except now what surfaces are the limits aspect of it. The mitzias. It's exactly the same furnishings. But the oil has been removed. Because oil comes from the yatzah.
It's like reshimu is like living in a hotel.
Yeah. Reshimu is like living in America. And the Rebbe said, how much is he worth? And this is what we it's like this. All right. All right, let's turn the page, just start the next line. V'yim kol zeh. This is the big challenge. V'yim kol zeh. Along with all that, despite all this, that we point out that the oires are shlei biyarach the kain, and the oires are a haora of the oirin seif. Hein oires the esesphiris mamosh. The oires also represent esesphiris. In other words, even though ultimately they represent the Oirin Seif, but from the Oirin Seif, the Oiris can be drawn to identify esesphiris. Mamosh, as oir, not only when it touches the keli, but at the level of oir itself. Of esesphiris. This is the whole struggle over here. To point out that in oir also there are esesphiris. Even though it's blima, and they're interchangeable without being in the cane. They're blima, they're pshitus. They're ha'orah for Ayin Seif. But still there is a new esesphiris, mamosh. And because the esesphiris mamosh, it's appropriate to refer to it as interchangeable. This is as far as we go today.
Would there be an explanation of that in the mashal, the house and the hat?
Yeah.
Yes.
Will there be? There has to be.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Either stay tuned or tune up and bring it out yourself.
Hello,